that starts a war. And you see it all the time. If 4 goes over and hits 2, then the next time 2 gets an overhead and 4 is stuck, 4 knows what they got to do, man. 4 has got to run up and get out of there, right? But where does 2 hit the overhead? All right. You get the point. You couldn't run far enough out of the way to get out of an overhead smash when there's a war on. All right, now let's go through what happens when the defense does not hit a good return. Remember, everything we're saying is based upon a good service return. So if you're playing defense, work on the service return. 1 serves the ball to 3. 4 is here. 1 serves to 3, and then 3 hits the ball back high. That's not a good service return. And so 4 has to go back. But 4 says, how do I know if it's not a good service return? Well, if I'm looking forward and I see you've just served to my partner over there, and I see you coming in going, no, no, I know you're going to juice me, man. I'm getting out of there. So I take off. I'm going to go back because I don't want to get the fuzz sandwich. And so I come in, I get the high ball. What do I do with it? Well, if you're not positive, you can put it away. Go deep down the middle. Remember, it's the best thing to get good position is go back down the center and then come right up and join your partner here at the net. Now, in good tennis, remember, you own the net now, and you own 95 out of 100 chances of getting the point. That's all you have to do. Now, 4 says, well, I can't tell whether the person, even they don't give me the Tarzan call and I don't see them waving, but they give me little head fakes. Don't worry about that. When somebody's coming in, if you're watching them, watch their belt buckle. They will never run without their pants. You'll see that. So watch it. Wherever the belt buckle goes, that's where you go. If that belt buckle goes down, you move in. If the belt buckle goes up, you go back. Right? All right, now you know how to play proper tennis on offense. Get a good serve deep to the backhand, get the high return, and get in there and get the net. And on defense, the basic thing is to get a good service return at the feet of the onrushing server. It all sounds nice, but that's not how people play. Typical kind of tennis around the world. This player plays here, this player plays here, 3 is here, and 4 is here. I don't know why, but it's all over the world. It doesn't matter where your airplane lands, this is what you see. 1 serves to 3. 3 returns to 1. 1 to 3. 3 to 1. 1 to 3. 3 to 1. Now, what are 2 and 4 doing? Nothing. They're just going, hang in there. That is terrific. You got it. Hang in there. They start talking about what they're going to have for dinner, what movies they're going to. But guess who loses the point? 2 and 4, because they are never ready for the point because it wasn't their turn to play. And so somebody mishits the ball and they go, oh, and then they drop it down into the net all the time. So we're saying to you, if you are the player without the ball, you are the dangerous player. So if your partner's hitting the ball, be ready to move on the weak return. All right, now you're talking about bad versus a good team. And that's what we see all the time. On a good team, they are going to serve and go to the net. And if the server does not go to the net, then a good team that's on the other side will take that opportunity and go to the net against them. For example, here's 1, here's 2, 3, and 4. 2 is in pretty good shape, but they have a partner who won't go to the net. 1 serves and stays back. 3 automatically sees it if 3 and 4 are a good team. They're not going to hit at the feet of the onrushing server. There's no onrushing server. So they just hit it deep. What do? They come to the net. 3 and 4 are here. Now 1's getting ready to hit the ball. Who's in trouble? 2. You see, every time 1 hits the ball, and to this person or this person, or whether they're lobbing, these people are going. Now, I say to 2, don't stand that. They say, yeah, but what can I do? My partner won't come in. They say, what can I do? I say, dump him. Dump your partner. You got to get rid of him. They say, I can't. This is my husband. I say, well, then at least get rid of him for tennis. Or the only other thing you can do is when your husband serves, come back and stand next to him while they're serving. But you know, they hate it. They get so angry at you. They always get ready to serve, and then they see you, and they go, what are you doing here when I'm serving? You're supposed to be at the net. And your answer is, I want to live. It's as simple as that. You don't want to stand there and take all that kind of stuff. Now, let's get down to poaching. What is poaching? Poaching is when The players here, person serving, say number 3's been returning serve beautifully all the time at one's feet, and then one's lifting the ball, 4 seeing it, and coming over and killing 2. 2 says, I'm getting tired of this, you know, so I'm going to start doing my own thing. So 1 serves, 2's here, 3, 4. 1 says, now when you serve to 3, they're always hitting here. I'm going to give you a signal. I'm going to cut across and get that service return, and I'm going to juice number 4. So 1, you better be looking because you're going to have to come over and take my side. All it is a little early tip. Now let me show you how that's done, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. But most people have a little trouble when they're learning to signal. So you want to get this down cold, or else it can discombobulate you. You can be worse than when you tried it. Here are some of the signals. You're the server, I'm your partner. I say to you, when 1 finger is down, I'm going to go on the first serve if your first serve lands in. If I put 2 fingers down, that means I'm not going on your first, I'm going only on your second. Open hand means you and I have been partners for 10 or 11 years, and I'm getting no action up here. I am going on anything, first or second. Closed fist means I'm not going at all. First serve only, second serve only, anything that lands in, I'm not going. All right? Here's the problem. People who are learning to signal don't understand the value of 2. They say, why give a 2 signal? Look, if I give number 2 signal, that means I'm not going on your first. But if you're my opponent, you don't know that. They're going now, they're getting ready to return. My partner's serving. I told him I'm only going on the second. You only signal before the first serve. My partner knows I'm not going on the first, but you don't know it. So they serve the ball to you. And just before you hit, I let you see me do this. Now, what do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm going. So you go, ha-ha, I've got that toad. Now you drop your eyes to hit it here. I move back because I promised my partner I wasn't going, and I juice your partner. See, that's the value of it. Now, if you can get this picture in your mind how you're going to signal and have some fun with it, then it's going to make you a mind-blowing team. But what most people do is they haven't signaled, so they get into trouble. They say, they don't like this signal. And women are the worst. I pick on the women now because they haven't played as much baseball. They always give away the signal. They go like this. We say, come on, as a coach, you got to signal. They go... And the other one they do is, did you get it? So remember, don't give away the signal. Also remember, you can call signals at the line. Make up your own signals. You can do it at breakfast table. You can say, look, today let's don't do the finger signals. Today, when you're serving, if my head is to the right, I'm going to the left. Head left, I'm going to the right. Elbow out, I'm not going. Elbows in, I'm going. Now, say you want to change your signal. You can say, look, I knew I said I was going to the left, but I'm wiping it off, I'm going right. You can change to any signal you want. Have some fun. Practice poaching all the time. Try one match where you poach every doggone point in the match. Just have some fun with it so you learn to poach properly. All right, what do you do with your eyes?
Keep them on
what?
On your strings of your racket.
You watch the ball until it does what? Hits the
string
as far as you can. So what do you do with your eyes, Bjorn? Do you look over there at the other person?
No.
What do you do?
You itch your nose.
You watch the ball. All right, what do you do with your belly button? Do you face the net like this when you hit the ball?
No.
No. What do you do?
To the side.
Right, oh, that Kevin's on the ball. Heidi, what do? Do I stand sideways to the net like this?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
yes. When I swing the racket, do I go low to high or do I go high to low?
Yeah. Low to high.
All right, low to high. All right, that's what we're going to do then. Travis, you got that? Do you swing high to low, Travis? No, you go low to high. All right, I'm going to put you to the test. So we're going to go back to that back line now, and we're going to start hitting some. Let's see how good you can hit the ball. All right? Go on back to the back line. That's the way, baby. Here you go. Come on, Kevin. Come on. Watch it. Nice, Kevin. Here you go. Here. No, Jeff's turn, Michelle. Here you go, Jeff. Watch it, baby. You know, I love working with kids because they have such a beautiful attitude about sport. They know how to have fun. I mean, just listen to some of the answers they gave me when I asked them, why do you play tennis?
It's fun and it's something you can do when you're bored or anything. Because I like it. No, I just think it's fun. You know, I play in lots of other sports also because I just think they're fun.
Because I get muscles in my body and I enjoy it.
Sooner or later, all kids grow up, and boy, do attitudes change. Listen to how adults answered the same question.
Well, I can take out some mild aggressions on that little ball without fear of retaliation. My wife will hit back.
Well, I know I need it, and There aren't very many exercises that I enjoy. This happens to be one of the few. It gets me outside, and it's not as painful as some of the others that I thought I would try and weren't too successful at.
I play for social interaction.
I play tennis because it's fun. I enjoy the competition, being out of doors, sunshine, exercise.
I play tennis. It gives me an opportunity to humiliate someone, and if I don't, it gives me an opportunity to drink.
I play tennis for the exercise because I very much enjoy it, and mostly because I can't find anybody to play cricket with.
I play to win, man.
Well, you've heard why other people play the game. How about you people at home? Why do you play? A couple of years ago, we did a little survey on why people played the game, and we came up with over 100 different answers. We even found masochistic tendencies in people. We found people who said, I love watching them smile when they beat me, which is amazing to us. And when people like that come here, we need to know that, because we put a sadist in their class so they have a nice time. The problem is, society puts a lot of pressure on us, and it really does create a conflict, because society wants a winner. They love a winner. And if you think about it this way, when 64 people enter a tennis tournament, before that tournament ends, 63 will lose. So there's only one winner in a doggone tennis tournament. That's tough. Now a serious thing. What about kids? We know that kids, when they're learning to play the game, have a lot of problems because society's pressures. You have to win. And they can't sometimes enjoy this beautiful game. They lose to a youngster. Then they go home. Now, what's the first question most parents ask them? Did you win? Right on. Now they lose twice. Well, why does anybody have to be a loser? You can be a winner at this game whether you were actually ahead in the score or behind the score. But competition is natural, and we think people should understand. All of you should know that it's natural to compete. You don't have to feel funny about competing. The definition of competition is one will win and one will lose. And you shouldn't feel funny about it. But how about when you're going out to warm up with somebody and you say, hey, let's just hit some, okay? And they say, okay, let's just hit. And you're hitting and you're laughing around, and pretty soon they go, serve them up, right? That's how natural it is. Even though you thought you're going to just go out and have fun, get a tan, you want to compete because you want to be recognized as the winner, hopefully, but you want to find out, make that decision who's king or queen of the hill. All right, now we will go through this psychological section, making an assumption of 4 different kinds of players. There's the tournament player. That's the A player, B player, the intermediate who plays in tournaments. There's the intermediate player who wants to just hit and giggle and have some fun. And there are beginners who are all of the above. Because there's some beginners who just want desperately to compete, even though they've only played a week. Alan Fox, who's a fellow psychologist, has an interesting interpretation on what a tennis match really is. Now, Alan says that a tennis match is a violent psychological struggle. Both antagonists are fighting for their egos, seeking ways to strengthen their senses of power and to enhance their self-image. Now, is that what you think it is? Is it a violent psychological struggle? Well, I put in my definition, there's an intermediate group that doesn't really have to win. It's not a violent psychological struggle. But by his definition, if you engage in a match, that's what it is. Now, Alan is a very fine player, and so maybe he's closer to that than I have. He has a lot more trophies than I had. He wrote a book called If I'm the Better Player, Why Can't I Win? But now we're going to go after this thing because people often ask me as a psychologist, what is it and what's the reason? Why do I choke? Why do I get psyched out in a match? Now, I have to say to them, I don't know. I need to know more about you. But what's even more important is what do you know about yourself? Most people don't know about themselves and have never really thought about it in terms of competition. So you think about you like to go to the opera, or you like music, or you like to go to school, you like to learn, you like to play tennis. But have you really thought about yourself in relation to competition? And you need to, because Alan Fox is right. A lot of people won't allow those feelings to surface. What are your fears when you're competing? Now, can you accept your own fears? How do you deal with your fears? Now, how do you handle pain? Because for playing competition, there's pain. But you should know how you deal with it, because if you don't know, you may not recognize your defense mechanisms. And they come all over the place. I mean, I'm telling you, I've taught a long time, and we spot them all over. We get little things like people say, how come the sun is in my eyes even when we switch? You know, the craziest one I had was someone said, I lost because I wasn't wearing my lucky underwear. You know, well, I want to know from people, what are your fears of losing? What are you afraid of? I mean, are you going to be punished? If you're going to be punished for losing, who's going to punish you? Your peers? Authority figures? No? Or do you punish yourself? Now, strange it may seem, some people are afraid to win. And it sounds crazy, but they really are. And they even punish themselves for winning. For example, it can be uncomfortable because if you become accustomed to losing all the time, now you have a nice feeling in your stomach. You know you're going to lose. You're not expecting anything different. You go to the park. Well, I'll be losing again. I lost 28 times last month. So, all of a sudden, you're leading 5-2 in the second set. You've won the first. Now your stomach starts to churn. You've never been in this situation before. And it starts to become very uncomfortable. And I can tell you the truth. Some people are more comfortable having the stomach not be upset and lose in order to maintain that equilibrium. And so if you're one of those people that say, when I come close to winning, I start to lose, you might look at it from that standpoint. Now, when do people play well? We found some interesting things. You have a tendency to play better 2 times in your tennis playing life. One is when you've laid off for a long time. If you lay off 30 days, you have a tendency to come back and play better. That's a fascinating phenomenon. You've been off 30 days, you play better. Why? Well, as a psychologist, I've been very interested in investigating this, and it seems like the reason is you don't put pressure on yourself. You don't expect anything. You've been gone for 30 days. So you go out there and just hit, and you're terrific. And then you make the fatal mistake. You say, how come I laid off? Man, I could have been on a tour now. Right? Now you start thinking. Right? Now you say, uh-oh. And it takes you about an hour to be crummy again. The other time is when you break a racket and borrow a friend's. And when you borrow a friend's racket, you almost always play better. Why? Because it's not your own mallet, man. Who expects you to play well? You don't even have your own racket. So you just go out there and go, pow, pow. And then again, you make the fatal mistake. You buy one just like it. Now you're crummy. Immediately, because now it's yours. Now think about it. The minute you start thinking about it, you start setting expectations. And when you start setting expectations, it starts making you nervous. You start bringing all those things back in again, and then bingo, you're in trouble. So we're saying to you, be very careful. Now, here's an interesting phenomenon. All the years I've been around in tennis, the top players, and I've been around a lot of them, when they've played the very best match in their life, we say, what were you thinking of? You just played the best match you've ever played in your life, and that person has acknowledged that. What were you thinking of during the match? And their answer almost always is nothing. Nothing. They're not out there saying side to the net, watch the ball, because it's too late for all of that. You've got to understand that get prepared. Get prepared. And if you're prepared, then you're going to play better because you don't have to think about things. But if you're having to think about things, I guarantee it's too late. Come to the match fresh. All right, now, anxiety is crippling. I can tell you that when you're fearful of things, it can be crippling. Now, you need some anxiety. You need some anxiety. It can be helpful to you. But don't get it up so much that it's debilitating. Now, Borg, people say, he's so cool, man. He is a cool cat. But when we did a little thing on with Borg, he finally admitted to us, his stomach is just churning on the inside. He gets angry with himself. But he wants to keep the poker face because he doesn't want to let anybody know they're getting to him. But he has the same kind of anxiety, so don't worry about it. Concentration. People say, what is that? Well, I don't think concentration when you're in the match is thinking about side to the net, watch the ball, and all that stuff. I think concentration is the absence of external stimuli. You got to get all those crazy things out of your mind. Don't try to find new things to concentrate on. Plus, when your brain sends a message to your mouth to say, concentrate, stupid, We know you can be concentrating because your brain has to send the message to the mouth to go, concentrate. So you're not concentrating. So my theme is shut up and concentrate, right? Now, if you're having trouble concentrating, then you use breathing exercises. Count to 4 when you inhale, and then let it exhale out on 4 count, then in. And your mind will get so wrapped up in the breathing that it'll get rid of some of the nervousness, some of the anxiety, and so on. I think you can use breathing to really help you out. But what is confidence? Well, my feeling is you get confidence by winning. I don't know how you get confidence any other way. When somebody's lost 52 matches in a row and they tell me, I'm ready for this match, man, I'm confident. You're lying. You're not telling the truth. Now, juniors make a big mistake, and so do adults. Some juniors will, if they're 14 years old, will play in the 16. They'll only play 1 division up. And then if they're 16 years old, they only play in the 18. You must learn to play people above you, but also below you. You need some victories to have some confidence. And also it helps the game of tennis, because if you only play people who are better than you, there will never be a match. You see, think about it. You've got to play 1 below you and 1 above you to really help this game grow, because then everybody can get a match that way. Now, confidence to me was exemplified by Jimmy Connors. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, there was World Championship Tennis was having a big round robin, and Borg and everybody was in it. Now, then they went to Jimmy Connors. They said, Jimmy, how would you like to play in this round robin? We want you. And he says, well, how much money is there? And the guy says, oh, there's 300 and some thousand in the whole tournament. He says, well, how much do you get if you're undefeated? And the whole thing, round robin. Now, Borg and everybody's in there talking to Connors. And the guy says to him, 180,000 if you're undefeated. And then the guy started to say, but if you lose 1, and Connor says, hold it, not interested if you lose 1. That's confidence, right? Now, know your frustration and tolerance thresholds. You need to know those levels. And most people aren't very tolerant. But guess who's the most objective about it? Dinkers, right? Dinkers, the people just hit the lob, you know, they know their frustration tolerance threshold. There's almost none. I mean, they can go for days. It doesn't matter. If the ball goes over the net 10 times, you know, you're going crazy. You're going, I can't stand playing this yo-yo. And the dinker's going, wow, this could go to 100. Right? They're so happy because their threshold is a lot higher. Now, Borg's idea of percentage tennis is patience. He just said, be patient. That's what percentage tennis really is. Be patient, raise your frustration tolerance thresholds. But it's not very easy to do because you have to know yourself and you have to accept yourself. Now, superstitions. What about them? You see them all the time. And believe me, in pro tennis, there are 1 million people out there with superstitions in intermediate and pro tennis. I think sometimes they can be valuable. I'm a little bit leery about them, but I know that some people who bounce the ball, and they have to bounce it 3 times on the serve. This is a 3-day, right? And then other days a 4-day. And if they don't, they have to wipe it off and then go back and do 3 again, right? That's a little bit compulsive. But now, what about the player? There was one player who had to count his socks 50 times before he could go play. That's compulsivity. Now, when you have to do that, it's hardly possible to make it to the match on time. You know, that's debilitating, I think. You know, and there are other kinds of things. People, pros who play the game, who are playing today, play trying not to step on the line. They have a superstition about playing on the line. And they'll serve and literally try to miss the line. And they're very, very talented people. That, to me, is injurious to their game, to their future, and to their mental health. Now, personality assessments of pros. Well, the people say, well, I can't be like those pros. They have a certain kind of killer instinct. I would like to be like them, but I just can't be. But let me tell you, when we did the personality assessments of pros, we did 20 very successful tennis players in this world. Personality syndromes were very, very different for almost all of them. There were only 3 common points, and those points were anxiety, drive, and independence. They had tremendous amount of drive. That's where it was common. They all had enough drive to knock the thing right off the charts. They wanted to be number 1. They would give up anything. They would pay the price to be number 1. But they were anxious people. They can't sit still. They're fearful. Fearful of what? And more than anything else, they're fearful of losing. They didn't describe winning much, but they hated to lose. Jimmy Connors will tell you that all the time. He always discusses the fact that he's afraid to lose. Now, drive, as I said, was very important. We had a guy who came here behavior modification guy, and he says, look, you're right, those pros, they have the drive, but we're telling you where you make the mistake, Vic, at your tennis college, is your students have a lot more drive than you give them credit for. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? He says, well, you work too much on positive reinforcement. You're trying to be too nice to the people, and they have drive. They want more than that. I say, well, what are you suggesting? He goes, electric shock. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, yeah. He says, just give them voltage, man. If they don't do it, go. And so I said, well, I don't want to do voltage. He said, no, you won't even have to. Just build a little box. They'll hit it themselves. They have that much drive. So I said, what's your rationale? He says, well, he cited a case in Sweden where a person was harassing family members, threatening to kill them. And so they had to create some irreversible aversion to these family members. And so they showed him a photograph of the family members, and simultaneously they shot this person pretty good in some vital spots. And they created this irreversible aversion to the family members. And I'm going, yeah, but just to get backhands down the line, I mean, isn't that going pretty far? You know, 200 volts, you know, if you miss the passing shot, that's kind of crazy. And so he said, but no, your people will shock themselves. We did a survey, and there were quite a few people in the class who wanted to try it. How does that get you? I was going to say, how does that shock you? All right, coaches and parents, we have a little advice to you about independence. Players, good players, want to be independent. And people who are healthy want to be independent. You should foster the independence. But most parents and coaches, not most, some, make the mistake of trying to create dependency levels. They say, tomorrow we play. We don't play anybody. The student plays. And you've got to help individuals take responsibility for their wins and their losses. That's the name of the game. Don't make people afraid. And if you make them dependent, they're always going to be looking for an out. They won't be able to accept it, and they'll blame it upon you. Their defense mechanisms, they'll blame it upon the win. And some people blame it upon the intelligence. They say, I'm not intelligent enough to play. Well, again, we did a study with pros, 20 top pros. IQs range from 88 to 144. I mean, think about that. So you don't have to be that smart. Now, what about nervousness? People say, I get so nervous, how do I handle it? Well, nervousness can be good. The first place, most people who have trouble with nervousness are not accepting nervousness as something that can be good. It's important to be nervous, but it's important to have nervousness on the right level. That's the problem. Some people need more. When we did our biofeedback studies, we found the people who performed very well were the people who could get themselves just up just the right amount. But the people who got themselves so stoked up that they went out there and ran the wrong way, they were in trouble. But some people just couldn't get up enough, and they performed poorly. Now, Nasty told me a story about Jimmy Connors, and I'll never forget it in my life, about the right level. Jimmy Connors is going to play Borg. If you remember, in 1979 finals, all right, finals of our U.S. Nationals. Now, Borg is waiting out there, and he's got the big edge on Jimmy Connors. And Connors is in the locker room now. This is his last chance to stop Borg from going on and trying to get that doggone Grand Slam. Well, you remember the results? Connors won the match, 6-4, 6-2, 6-2, I think that was. But regardless, it was 3 straight sets. But what was of great interest is that he prepared, he was ready. Borg's a heavy favorite. But now Nasty told me that he was in the room with Jimmy Connors, and every 10 seconds, Connors is hearing his voice calls going, that's it, let's go. But nobody was calling him. But now, for a person who was down the ladder from Borg had the edge on him. Connors was so ready for Borg that he had to level up there right. And if you remember, he went out there and annihilated him in 3 sets. So you do have to get up to a certain level. Just make sure you know what the level is. So start looking at yourself and making some measurements. Am I nervous enough? All right. Now, anger can be very good for you, too, if it's held in check the right level. But most people, you know, if you get a little angry with yourself, say, geez, you dummy, run. You didn't get prepared. I think that's a logical thing to do. But when anger comes up and then it stops you from swinging and even just lets you blow the rest of the shots, then that's the terrible kind of thing to have happen to you. For most people who get involved with anger, anger is self-destructing. Believe me, very few people can handle anger right when it surfaces and win tennis matches with it. Now, I always choke on my second serve. That's what people tell me all the time. I choke on my second serve. What can you do for me? Well, nothing. Because for most people, I got to be fair. Most people, when they tell me I choke on my second serve, I go, right. And the reason is you have no second serve. The other reason is you have no first serve. See, and when you have no first serve, it places a lot of pressure on your second. I say, come and see me if you're positive, you're hitting it right, and you got all the things down. But if you don't have the stroke down, Cole, don't talk to me about choking until you got that. But if you hit it well, then I can do some things for you, because then we get back, we study fears, pain, and things like that. Well, people say, I always come close to winning, but I just can't do it. I come close, but then I check out some way. Well, let me mention this to you. When you get close to winning, some people are a little afraid to put people away. Like Alan Fox says, you got to get down to the dirty work. Some people just don't want to make the final cutoff of those legs and beat that person. And so face those fears, surface that pain, and understand what competition is. You have to do the dirty work. Get in there and get it over with. Now, you don't have to be guilty about winning in tennis, but we see this all the time. People play somebody, they beat them 6-love, they're leading now 5-love in the second set, and they say, well, I'm going to give this person a couple of games because, you know, I want them to feel good. And then you say, all right, now it's 5-2, and you say, okay, now I will pour it on. And you can't. You've lost it all. Now it's 5-3, 5-4, 5-5. They come back to win. You're angry, you're mad, and everything is just exploding. Now, does that person come back to you and say, I know you just gave it to me, because they don't say that. They go, boy, have you improved. I didn't think you were that close to me. So I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't fall for it. You have to gut it. Now, the best players have to bare their soul all the time out on a tennis court, and so do you. That's what's beautiful about the game. Honor yourself. You're out there in a tough thing. You're out there in the facts of life are you're burying your soul. You're going to win or lose, and the way you look, and you got those doggone little short pants on, people can see your legs and things like that. But good on you. That's what life's all about. My advice to people is, 1, know yourself. You got to do that. Then 2, you have to accept yourself. 3, try your best. 4, you got to go for it. Know the shots that you have to hit, and just go hit it. And when you've done your best, believe me, you can laugh your guts out because you already are a winner in my mind. Good looking. Come on, Krista. Come on, Carrie. Come on, Carrie. Come on, run, Carrie, run. Don't swing, punch. Come on, Susan. Nice. Come on, Shannon. All the way to the left, Shannon. Nice. Come on, Kristen. Come on, all the way up. Mike, get in there, baby. That's it. Side of that. Come on, Rochelle. Nice. Johnny, you got it, baby. Oh, that's good looking. Jimmy, you got it. Jimmy, you swung. There you go, Krista. Nice, Johnny. Come on, Carrie. Up to that. Let's go. Come on, Susan. Go. Faster, faster. Come on, Shannon. Faster. Faster. Come on, Kristen. Come on. Come on, let's go, Mike. You got it. Mike, take care of that out there, Mike. Come on, Johnny. You got it. Come on, Jimmy. You got it. Come on, Karen. You got it. Oh, look at the volleys. They're getting better. Good. Come on, Terry. Hurry. Hurry, Susan. Oh, Susan, all the way up, Shannon. All the way up. Nice, Shannon. You had a rack on nice. That was my fault, Kristen, but you made a nice play. Come on, Rochelle. Nice looking, Rochelle. You got it, Johnny. Oh, Johnny, you're down. Look at that, Jimmy. Come on, Karen. Watch the ball. Come on, turns out. You got it. Oh, you're rolling your wrist. Oh, come on, Susan, hurry, Susan. Susan, hurry. You're dancing into the net, Susan. Come on, Mike. Watch the ball. Come on, Rochelle. Side to the net, Rochelle. Side. Oh, John's got it. John's got it. Jimmy's got it. Jimmy, don't get down. Watch those balls. Be careful. Be careful. Carrie, just hold it out. That's my fault, Carrie. That wasn't your fault. Susan took you off the ball. Your belly button's on the